right, so Cole, welcome back again. It's the Millennium Era
good to
this
be back.
time. Yeah, it's great. So, how you been?
I've been good. On that YouTube grind. You know what I'm saying? Like on that YouTube grind.
I know.
It's
I
been
can't
amazing.
believe what you've been doing lately with your videos. I've enjoyed all of your content so far, especially your
Thank you.
Godzilla retrospectives. I've agreed with the majority of them. So when it comes to the Showa era, when we're coming to that, that's gonna be fun.
Notes. I have notes for once. So.
Oh, do you? Oh wait.
Yeah, I do.
think I got some notes here somewhere. Wait.
Not for Millennium, for Showa, but for Showa I have tons of notes.
I do have some notes for the Millennium Era, but
Okay,
there's not much. Okay, so I wanted to show you some stuff because there's been some cool stuff that's happened lately. We got the brand new 4K Biollante release, which was
Yep.
oh, it was so good to see it.
I think I have it like right by me. But yeah, I did my video on it. I unboxed it and everything. And yeah, only gripe is that there's no dub. That's it. That's the only gripe I have with it.
It's very strange because this is the first time I'm watching the Japanese version, and it's surprising how many times it cuts between different languages. Like, that was shocking to me because at first, like, they're speaking English, and I'm like, wait, I thought everyone was complaining that there wasn't an English dub, and then, yeah.
In the dub that I'm used to, they say Biollante. And so in my review, I even said, like, yeah, the commentary lady keeps saying Biollante, and that kept annoying me. And then people in the comments were like, no, it's the Japanese version, they say Biollante. I had no clue. So then when I actually, like, watched it paying attention, not in, like, you know, like, focused on the physical media and everything, I'm like, oh, yeah, they do say Biollante. To me, that's bizarre. I'll still say Biollante. That's how Godzilla Unleashed said it, but... You know,
Yeah.
on the Wii.
Yeah, with the one guy's voice, just like Biollante.
Biollante.
Okay, so I had some cool stuff to show you.
All right,
so
I'm excited.
I went to the Comic-Con, and there was this guy selling a bunch of overpriced figures. He said he attended G-Fest, but so I got a giant Mothra larva plush, and if you see, there's a zipper right here.
Yeah.
And so at first I'm thinking, oh, this is like it transforms into Mothra or something.
Oh my word.
It's actually a blanket.
That's insane. I've
It's
never seen that before. Is that
massive.
like new?
It's like a rug.
Is that new? Because I've never seen that before.
I'm guessing, because I've never seen it either, because I thought it was like a transformation thing where it just turns into a different plush. And then I take it out once I'm on my way back home with my buddies. I'm like, oh, this is a blanket. So it was kind of cool. I also did get my childhood
Oh yeah. you told me about
Godzilla
this.
figures.
Yeah.
This is the Pack of Destruction. I have, over time, lost several of my figures when it comes to this set. Right now, all I have is Destroyer, the small version of Destroyer, Mothra, and then Gigan and Manda, but Gigan's missing his bandsaw. But this was just really cool. I got it for a good price.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see that for sale.
Yeah. I went on an eBay binge as well. I'll show you what I got really quick.
Oh no.
I've always wanted this figure, and it was the Gigan upgraded, and so with, like, you know, the chainsaws and everything. And there were sellers that were selling this for about like $35, and I was kind of like, yeah, I guess that's the best I'm gonna get. But then I found an auction where they threw in the Godzilla 2004 figure.
Oh,
Movie Monster
nice.
Series. And I was like, I mean, I already have like kind of a crappy old Bandai one from way back in the day, and the tail's barely on, so I'm like, I'll throw in $40, and no one bid on it, so I somehow won. I had no clue. I found out like 7 days later that I won. So
That's the Final Wars Gigan, right?
yes, it is. Yep,
Okay.
yeah. I've always wanted the chainsaw one as a kid, and so when this came out, I'm like, I gotta get my hands on it.
I'm glad I didn't buy the one at the Comic-Con because there was a guy selling it, but he was wanting like $150. I was like, what?
Yeah, no
But,
way.
Yeah. He had a bunch of those like
But
other ones that were like different colors, like pink Hedorah, like
Oh yeah.
I don't know what they
Yeah.
were, but they were kind of cool. But he was wanting like
Yeah.
$150 a figure. I was like, dude, come on. Like, normal person can't afford this, man.
One more thing that I got wasn't my own purchase. Long story short, I've told this on stream before, but my buddies and we all did fantasy football, which, by the way, I won the league this year. So
Hey, I did too! I won my league!
Yeah, let's go. So I made a trade with my buddy. I was inebriated, we'll put it that way. And he said, I want DeAndre Hopkins. And I said, okay, but you need to give me a Godzilla action figure in return for this trade. And he said, all right, which one? And I said, I want the gold -1 figure from the Oscars. And so he had to like import it. It was this whole fiasco. DeAndre Hopkins barely did anything for him because it was like the first week he got traded to the Chiefs.
I was gonna say.
So, yeah, it was not a good trade for him by any means, and he was out like $40 getting me this thing.
That is so cool that you got that way.
It's the greatest fantasy football trade in human history.
Yeah, some would say, that's for sure. Man. All right, so to kind of get back to what we're doing, for those not aware, we're going through every single Godzilla era slowly by slowly, and we are working our way backwards. I don't know why we decided to do this way.
I think because we started with the MonsterVerse, and I'm like, let's just do this for funsies.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Here we are.
So now we're in the Millennium Era, which starts from 1999 to 2004. So there's 5 movies, and I guess 6 if you want to count Always Sunset on 3rd Street too. But let's get started. Godzilla 2000, man. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, so my introduction to this movie was Godzilla Unleashed on the Wii, because that was the model of Godzilla that they used, and that was my first real experience with anything Japanese Godzilla in my life. And so I always loved the design. Well, you got to remember, that came out in 2007, so I was like 5 years old.
Wow.
So, and my parents got me that for Christmas, not really thinking, because we got a Wii that year, you know, and then it was like, here's a bunch of Wii games, and Unleashed was just one of them. But so I always loved the Godzilla 2000 design, with the purple spines and everything. I just thought that was just so sick as a kid. And then my dad and we sat down and watched it, because it was on some like random channel on cable one day, and so we just sat down and watched it. I remember liking it as a kid, but the one thing I didn't like was just how like long it took to really get to the kaiju stuff, because they focus so much on like the Godzilla chasers, how they're like storm chasers. But I remember liking Orga, and that was it. You know, it was like one of those where, as a kid, I should preface, as a kid, I was like, yeah, it's okay. You know, like the design's cool, but that's about all it's really got going for it. Upon revisiting it, I think that this is one of the most progressive Godzilla movies in terms of technology. They really embraced using different techniques for filmmaking. Like, for example, there's the green screen shot that everyone rips on, where the helicopter's flying away from him and he's just kind of like walking in place. But in retrospect, though, I think that's genuinely impressive for a franchise as old as Godzilla, that they're still working on having new technology, new filming techniques, even in, 1999, almost 2000. And Orga is completely CGI, that first kind of saucer form, that shows up. And I think, if my memory is correct, that's the first fully CGI Godzilla monster.
Yeah,
in that specific form.
When he's like transforming, Regenerator
Yes.
G1, when they call him that. And then this is the first time too when they have Godzilla be CGI, right? For one shot. It's like one shot.
He's swimming. Yeah, he's swimming.
It doesn't look that good, but it's still, like you were saying, it's impressive for the time.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those movies where you have to watch it you have to know the I guess the background of everything, knowing that it was made in response to Godzilla 98, because they wanted Godzilla to not have the legacy of being, a tuna-eating, irradiated iguana that's killed by one missile.
I knew that tuna head wasn't up to much.
It's a fast turnaround that this movie had for its production.
And the fact that it looks as good as it does, especially in the miniature shots. Like we talk about how bad some of the CGI stuff looks, but so much of the miniature work is downright, it's impressive. It's so well done.
Yeah. For me, this is one of my top 5, easily. I love this movie to death. This is one that I grew up on, VHS. I remember it very distinctly. The artwork on the VHS cover or the DVD cover was...
So good.
It's awesome. It's Godzilla. He's like crushing an airplane. He's got like the bridge and stuff. I'll pop that up on screen. But Yeah, I think that this has some of the best ideas for a Godzilla movie. I love this idea of the Godzilla storm chasers, almost how it's a prediction network. And this is something that's never been touched upon in future Godzilla movies, where it's like this, there's this creature that's always kind of existing. Why wouldn't there be sort of like fanboys chasing it like a tornado? Like, you would have people doing this all over the world.
Yeah, not to bring it back to the MonsterVerse, but it's like, I wish that Monarch went in that direction rather than just being like a SHIELD ripoff. I wish that they stayed as the CIA black site, where it's these like kind of like loonies that are all like, we're chasing Godzilla and like no one else believes us. Like, I miss that angle of it, and I think Godzilla 2000 really executes it in a way that I remember when I watched it recently. I'm like, oh, this is just what I wanted Monarch to be. It was just like this.
Yeah, where it's kind of more. You don't know the full story of everything. You don't know the full story of this, the main character. And I always forget his name, but he's a prolific actor in Godzilla movies, because if you know Godzilla vs. Mothra, the one from the Heisei era, he's kind of the goofy little grubby guy that steals the Mothra fairies halfway through.
One second.
Yeah, you're good.
This is not staged in any way. I promise you. Hold on.
What? What did you get?
I got a knock at my door, and my dad slid this under the door. I'm going to ask you to please blur this, but I'll try to show it to the best of my ability. It says Firewood Media TV on it. I got this in the mail.
Buddy's opening up
one
fan
sec.
letters on my channel. That's crazy.
Oh, no. This is not a fan letter. I did a short film, a kaiju one, and I won.
Oh, no
award for
way.
it.
That's right.
And so I'm unboxing it right here on your channel. So there we go.
That is awesome, dude. Congratulations.
I'm hanging that up later today. Okay. Sorry about that.
Does it say it says what? Kaiju cinematography?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it says
Yeah, show it off, dude.
Kaiju Oscar Awards 2025, Best Cinematography, Restricted Zone, Firewood Media, and then it's Kaijuzilla who did this whole kind of awards thing. So yeah, really cool.
Awesome.
Really cool.
Congratulations.
Hang this up. I swear that was not staged. Literally, that you were talking, I heard the knock, and I'm like,
we just
Okay.
got a letter.
wonder who it's from.
Woo! Oh,
All right,
man.
sorry about that.
No, it's all cool. No, I just love Godzilla 2000. I think that the story and the characters are really good. This is one that I always like to really recommend to people if they are coming from some of the more serious Godzilla movies, because this is one that in the Millennium Era is a bit all over the place, if you want my honest opinion, because they're all pretty serious for the most part, but I would say that Godzilla 2000 is the most serious. Even something like GMK does have severe goofy moments, like you think of like Baragon getting hit and he goes flying, like there's that moment. But
even the human characters in GMK are really kind of not goofy, but like, you know, the whole thing is like I'm just thinking that whole scene where she's drunk and that guy like drops her off at her house, and then he's like the dad's there and he's just like and then he like walks away like he's not even military.
or like the smoker guy that's like constantly peeling his hair back.
Yep.
I would say that Godzilla 2000 is the one that you can definitely go for. The problem is, I think, for a lot of people, is that if the characters in the story isn't working for you, there's not a lot of Godzilla scenes in this movie, sadly.
Right. Yeah.
Godzilla shows up in the beginning, and then he shows up at the end. And there's a severe drought of him in the middle. It's all about the UFO and Godzilla's regeneration cells and what those are like capable of doing.
Mm-hmm. It pacing wise, it reminds me a lot of some of the like the Showa era ones, especially like Ghidorah the three-headed monster, where like you get almost no Godzilla for a huge chunk, shows up around like the 40-minute mark, and then nothing until like the 70-minute mark. So you're getting like all these long stretches and all these droughts without Godzilla, and then when he does show up, it's fantastic. Like, but pacing wise, I feel like almost that was maybe the intention, where they're like, this is how we would do this. This is, we're going back to his roots in a way. Because a lot of people say the Showa movies are very goofy, but not so, like, the earlier ones especially, they took themselves very seriously, especially, like, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. But tonally and pacing-wise, I see Godzilla 2000 as being sort of like an early Showa-era movie in that regard.
Huh, I guess I've never really thought of it that way, but that's
I've been revisiting them like crazy, so that my brain's just like, okay, it's the formula, here we go.
Yeah, that's cool. I love Orga in this. But here's the thing, though. I'm gonna have the biggest take when it comes to this. The U.S. version of this movie is 100 times better than the Japanese, in my opinion. I think that the re-edits, if you've ever watched the Japanese version, there are parts when the music does not fit the tone of the movie or the characters. Same thing for Orga's voice. If you know the original, Orga has this very high-pitched squeal in the Japanese version, while in the US version, it's this very low moaning, groaning sound. And the orchestra is completely redone in the US version. But they chose like the right moments to use the Godzilla theme, in my opinion. The Japanese version, I just don't think really did that great of a job doing it, in my opinion. But this is one where I think the US version is like 1,000 times better.
Yeah, I'm really only familiar with the English version. I think I watched the Japanese version like once, and it was like way back in quarantine. So for me, it was like, that feels like 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those where I do love the English version, and I think it would almost be bizarre seeing the Japanese version then in that context, knowing that there's so many changes. Because that's one thing where, in my retrospectives, I always talk about the English versions, the international versions, because those are the ones that I grew up watching. And so it feels like a disservice to not mention them, to not mention the voice actors. And so for a lot of these movies, though, like, I've only seen the English version, which sounds like heresy for a Godzilla fan, but it's just because that's all I ever had access to. Like, a lot of the time, they would just throw the Japanese audio track over, the English version on the DVDs, and then that would be all you get. So it's mainly for that reason. But with 2000, like, I remember the dub being significantly better than the older ones. Like, I remember when I watched it for the first time, and I'm like, oh, this is, like, legit. Like, this isn't, like, they just got some random guy to talk over this movie. Like, it's very, very well done.
Yeah, they didn't choose like American actors. They chose specifically Asian American actors for all of the cast. So it sounds more authentic. But I just think that like the decisions that the American version made with the re-edits, I think it's a lot more of a snappier film too in the American version. They trim out some of the scenes that are just a bit too long, in my opinion. But overall, I love this movie. I think this is when you started to see a lot of Godzilla's scale be accurately represented, because, going back and watching a lot of the Heisei era, or even the Showa era, there's parts when they would try to show scale, but it'd be like a shadow of maybe Ghidorah or Rodan going over something. But it looks goofy for the effect, but
yeah.
It was for the time. This is the first time you truly feel Godzilla's size, besides maybe the TriStar version of Godzilla. I think about like when the Godzilla Prediction Network are in the tunnel and they go out to the bridge and Godzilla's face is looming and the whole car is his mouth. Same thing when he stomps and it's his foot that comes down on the car almost. There's a lot of great moments when the guy is on his motorbike and he's like zooming on the beach and there's the Godzilla footprints that he's kind of stepping into. I like all of these moments, and it's the first time you really feel the size of Godzilla.
Yeah, there's that one shot, by the way, where Godzilla's face is like coming through like the mist or whatever. I remember that was on every DVD for like all the trailers back in the day, where it was like coming soon to own on DVD, and it's like that was like the shot. That shot is just in my brain because it's like every time I'd go to watch like Godzilla versus Ghidorah, that would play right before.
Or like Tokyo SOS.
Oh yeah, that I think that movie made up most of the trailer, honestly. But yeah, no, Godzilla 2000, I love that movie. It's going to be one that I really want to go deep into when it comes time to watch it for my retrospective and like take extensive notes, because it really is a movie that was made in response to another movie. And I find those movies to be fascinating. Like, say what you want about the Disney Star Wars trilogy. Every single one, it's arguably more interesting when you consider the behind-the-scenes stuff. Like, that's more interesting than the movies themselves, because it's like Force Awakens is a response to the prequels. Last Jedi is a response to Force Awakens, and then The Rise of Skywalker is a response to Last Jedi. And Godzilla 2000 is a response to Godzilla 98, and how that film, you could say, poorly treated Godzilla. You know, I find that to just be really interesting to consider when watching it, because it's like, it isn't vindictive. You know, like you would think like, oh, we're going to have a scene where he blows up New York, you know, and like, you know, like it never really goes in that direction. If anything, it's more reverential towards Godzilla, while also going like it's like that bit from The Simpsons where he like slaps him on the head. He goes, "That's how you make a Godzilla movie." Like that's literally what it was. And I don't know. I love it for that reason alone. I think it's hilarious, and that I'm just picturing the director seeing Godzilla 98 and just being like, like, I'm gonna prove them wrong, and he did.
Well, the director of this was the guy who killed Godzilla
Yes.
versus Destroyer,
Yes.
and Mothra, and like I think like maybe Super Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, because he did a lot of the later Heisei ones for sure. Because it was like mainly two directors, I think.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to do a deep dive.
I don't know any of the directors. Like I know Jun Fukuda, I know Ishiro Honda, and like, but like when it gets to like the Heisei era and like Millennium, I'm kind of just like even some of the actors I'm like iffy on. Like I remember going to G-Fest a while back. There was like Godzilla Jeopardy, and like there's a whole section about the actors, and I remember thinking
That's
like,
hard.
if that was me, there's no way. Like I know like the big names, but like beyond that, like there were questions where it was like, who played the main protagonist inventor guy in Godzilla vs. Megalon, and there was a guy that knew it, and I was just like, dude, how? Like that's crazy.
I mean, I know like what other movies they appeared in. Like that guy was in Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you the directors or the actors either.
Yeah.
I just know a few of them. Like I know the guy who directed GMK was the guy who directed the Gamera trilogy. That's very well known. But I'm like you too.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I know the monsters, I know the movies, and I know the plot. That's all I got
Exactly.
for you.
That's all we need. That's all we need.
Yep.
We're having fun.
Yep.
But okay, so Godzilla 2000, it's in my personal top 5. Now we come to Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, which I feel has been getting some shade thrown at it recently.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think there's a lot as to why that's happening. For starters, I think it's kind of confusing when they call it Godzilla 2000. It came out in 1999. You know, it's like a car, you know, that comes out. It's like, oh, it's the 2026 model, and it's like, no, it's not. But I think, you know, because then a lot of people know, oh, well, GMK. You know, like GMK came out in 2001. So as a result, I think Godzilla vs. Megaguirus gets pushed to the side. On top of that, too, GMK is widely considered as a masterpiece by Godzilla fans. And Godzilla 2000, I think, is very well regarded by Godzilla fans. So it's kind of stuck in the middle of, like, coming out between these two very, very good movies. And it's fine. Like, I think that's probably the best way to put it with Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. It's one of those where I was literally thinking about this in the shower today. I'm like, you know, I hate when Godzilla fights bugs in movies because it's just not that entertaining. Like, I love Godzilla or Mothra vs. Godzilla. I love that movie, but I love it not for the reason that he's fighting a giant moth. Like, that is, in my opinion, the worst part of the movie. I love the characters. I love the giant egg plot. I love everything about that. I think it's so fun. The worst part is when he's fighting Mothra. And I feel that's the same way, like my least favorite Heisei movie is Godzilla vs. Mothra Battle for Earth. And my least favorite of the Millennium one is Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. There's just something about him fighting a giant bug that's flying. I can't stand it. It's just not as engaging as there being a monster of his stature that he's actually battling. I don't know. It's just something about my monkey brain where I'm just like, ooh, I want to see him wrestle another monster. There's just, I don't know what it is. That's me personally, but I think it's for all those reasons. And the fact that, like, Megaguirus just doesn't really get any love by Toho. You know, like, they just put a figure out, like, a couple years back, and that was it. Like, Megagearus hasn't really reappeared in anything. Probably Godzilla, but that's because every monster appears in that, so that's kind of a gimme. But, you know, it's kind of weird, because it's almost like Toho feels embarrassed of it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the tone, that very serious tone that you mentioned for Godzilla 2000, is gone in Godzilla vs. Megagearus. Like, okay, so we're going to shoot a black hole at Godzilla, and then a giant dragonfly is going to come out, and then it's going to, like, hook Godzilla in the mouth in their final battle, and then Godzilla's going to suplex Megagearus, and it's just like, we already, like, hit that. It'd be like if Godzilla 2014 came out, and then Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire came out right after it. It would be like, what are we doing? And then the next movie was, like, Godzilla -1. You know what I mean? Like, so it makes sense why it gets looked over so much. Whether or not that's justified, I don't think so, but still, I think that's a big factor.
I love this movie.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's okay for me. I'm not like, you know.
This is in my top 10. Now, that's like a 9 or a 10, so more in the back end.
Yeah.
But I've always loved the more goofier side of Godzilla for me. So a story where it's like we're gonna shoot a black hole at Godzilla, and you have to really keep in mind that the Millennium Era for a lot of people is not a series that you can watch Godzilla 2000 to Final Wars and it's about the same Godzilla. It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
You go from Godzilla 2000 to Megagearus. Megagearus is not the same Godzilla from Godzilla 2000. It's the original 54 version that's like a retelling of it in a way. They like retell the 54 version with the Godzilla 2000 suit,
which is so confusing in my opinion, because it's like, as a kid I remember being like, oh no, that's a sequel because he looks the same. You know, like, I get why people get confused by that,
but I have to agree with the tone of this movie has serious moments and then it's goofy. It's a bit all over the place, and I think that's why I like it. It's a hard one to recommend to new fans. It's one that you have to, like, kind of pedal around and then come back to, because there's violent moments. Like, this has some of the most violent Godzilla moments. Like, you think about the part when the Meganula is attacking people. Like, that scared me so much as a kid, how it, like, incinerates people and eats them in very, very violent ways, even for a PG movie.
I love that they brought back the Meganulon from Rodan, because that was such a cool deep cut. Whoever made that decision, it's like, dude, thank you. And that's how you know that. Though at this point, I think it's also interesting to consider that the Millennium Era was very likely, maybe the Heisei era too, but it was the first time that Godzilla movies were being made by kids who had grown up with the Godzilla movies of, like, the 60s and 70s. And so I think that more this era than anything, it almost feels like these are some of the best Godzilla fan films ever made. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, there's so much love towards Godzilla. We'll get into GMK, obviously, because that and Final Wars, those both feel like the best Godzilla fan films ever made. Again, it's not like, I'm not saying that as like a slur or a dig, you know, like, I'm saying that as like, you could tell that the creator loved Godzilla, and that love is so apparent. But even in Godzilla vs. Megagearus, a film that I have a lot of issues with, mainly being tone and pacing, you could tell that, like, by throwing in the Meganulon, it's like, yeah, no, they could have just came up with, like, a new character, like a new bug, but they didn't, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. I just like the idea of this movie a lot. Like, I don't think it's... I hate to be that guy where it's like it's not executed well, but it kind of is in a way. Like, there's different things that they are going for, and I feel like the black hole plot gets lost very quickly. There's like different things, like they're always trying to shoot it at it, but I don't know. It's something that gets very lost because you have the flood coming in Japan and flooding whatever town it does. Yeah. And then you have Megagearus slowly getting powered up with her army of, like, little swarms of creatures. But it's kind of a movie that's all over the place. You have the plot with the boy. You have the stuff where they're tracking Godzilla. I think that's one of the funniest moments in the whole franchise, when you have the one character, I forget her name, but she's a pretty good character in the movie for the most part, and she jumps onto Godzilla, and shoots him with a a tracking dart
Yeah.
and holds on to his spines.
I think that's one of the few times where a character has ever like touched Godzilla. You know, when you really think about it that way, because I know that, I know that in the Monsterverse,
King of the Monsters.
yeah, in the Monsterverse, he like touches Godzilla, you know, like right on the snout before like the nuke goes off. But like, I don't think it's got to be like the only real instance of that happening, or at least someone touching him and they're not being stomped on. You know, like
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to really think about that if there was one in the show or the Heisei era that came close, but I don't think so.
yeah, no.
But I like this one. It's one that I can easily shrug off, but it's in my top 10. It's one that I kind of grew up with. I like the idea of Godzilla fighting a bug to a degree. I'm in agreement with you where the flying creatures, when Godzilla fights them, can be boring. You know, because mostly it's just like they're fluttering and Godzilla's kind of like, get away from me.
Or he's shooting a beam at them and then they're like kind of evading, and that's most, you know what I mean? Like those are really the only two things you can do with it.
But I like that. I love Megaguirus' design. I think she's really freaky. The story's good for the most part. I like it. But overall, this is not my least favorite, but this is definitely in the Millennium Era my like second to least favorite.
That's fair. That's fair. Now I'm wondering what your least favorite is, because in my mind that this is my least favorite. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
But
yeah.
Awesome. GMK, the one
Okay.
that I've been like, this one in Final Wars, I'm like,
Gush about it, man.
So GMK has some of the best sense of scale in any kaiju movie ever, and it makes sense when you consider that the guy who made the Gamera trilogy did this, because it's like those movies have nothing but great scale. So I can't stop thinking about the shot of the woman in the hospital where she sees Godzilla lumbering by. She gets all freaked out, and then boom, the hospital's destroyed. It's dark humor, and it borders on being cynical in a way that I just adore with Godzilla movies. I love that tone, that attitude. I love when it's kind of goofy like that, and it can be funny. I love the Godzilla design. I think that the fact that they made him like blind with rage is so clever. Only regret that I have is that in some of the wide shots he looks a bit funky, like his neck, it's like way up here. And it looks kind of funky, but beyond that, like, I love that they included Baragon. You know, Baragon always gets looked over in movies, so he kind of gets a cool chance to shine here. King Ghidorah, I like, but I just, every time I consider what we could have gotten with Anguirus, Varan, and Baragon. That was the original premise. I'm just like, God, I wish we got that instead. But still, downright incredible. This to me is like, this is one where you show it to people as like, this is one of the best ones. This is a great entry point, because you kind of get Mothra, Ghidorah, Godzilla all in one movie. You also get Baragon as like kind of a little like, here's like one of the lesser known ones. You know, you get kind of a taste of everything. Yeah, it's got a fun tone. It's fun. It has its moments where it can be serious, but it never conflicts with each other. You know, everything kind of all feels very neatly and compactly kind of, you know, meshed together. I adore it. I love this movie so much. It's one of my favorites. Probably, maybe top 3, I think. Top 3.
This is in my top 10. It's not in my top 5, just because when we get to the Showa and the Heisei era, there's so many incredible movies there. But this is definitely my top 10. I love it to death. I remember when we first discovered this movie, because for me, I have been a Godzilla fan for the longest time. You were talking about how you kind of discovered Godzilla with Godzilla Unleashed, and that's cool. Like, I always expected that you were just like from birth like a fan of Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, that's just how it always is. I don't have that story of how I remember watching Godzilla for the first time. My earliest memory is buying Final Wars at launch. That's my earliest Godzilla memory.
Yeah.
But GMK, we had bought before or maybe after Godzilla Final Wars when it was released in America. But it was definitely one that impressed me and my dad as in terms of the quality of the movie, because like you were saying, the sense of scale is great. There's a lot of great shots where I think about the Baragon scene in particular, where Godzilla's just throwing him.
Yeah.
And there's the shot of where the highway's broken and the two main characters are on it. and you're just seeing, like, from a distance, Godzilla just throwing Baragon and like taking him down. I think if I'm with you about the King Ghidorah and the Mothra stuff, I wish it was Anguirus and Varen, because Anguirus only shows up in Final Wars.
Yeah.
And Varen hasn't showed up since Destroy All Monsters, when he came in for a little wave.
Actually, Godzilla's Revenge, he shows up for, like, I think 0.4 seconds in stock footage. So, if you really want to
There's no way.
Because there's the part
I've
where
watched that movie.
Ichiro goes, and there's Varen, and then there's Gorosaurus, and then there's Manda, and he points to, and they show, like, for, like, 4 seconds, and it's the shot of him, like, coming over, like, the hill or whatever, and he's like, rah, and, like, you see it for literally, like, it's, like, a second, and that's it. He's in, I swear, he's in, like, because it's just Ichiro going, and then there's Anguirus, and then there's this one, and then there's that.
Because I remember Gorosaurus is in that one,
because
but I
that's
don't
the
remember.
shot from King Kong Escapes, and
Yes.
then there's the one of Manda, and I'm convinced, unless I'm having some, like, Mandela effect where my brain is being rotted by Godzilla content creation, but I'm pretty sure there's the shot of Varen where he goes, it's like that, bah, because it's just the model of him where he's like this, you know. And I swear, it's just like right when he comes over the hill, and he's like, and there's Varen.
There's Gorosaurus.
I gotta look this up. I'm convinced my brain is just mush at this point.
Oh, man, that's great. If he's in it, then I'm going to question my life. Because I've
It's
watched
a
that movie
lose-lose here.
too
Either
many
you question
times.
your life or I question mine. There's no...
Yeah. I'm not the one that's done a retrospective on the movie yet, so...
Yeah. I did mine, and then I think I, like, blacked out, and next thing I knew it was already posted to the channel, so... Let's see... Yeah, no, he's not in it. I've lost my mind.
But it was cool that the director included Varen through the King Ghidorah props or heads. That's something where he wanted him in it so bad. But sadly, this is the problem that I have with King Ghidorah and Mothra. They come back way too many times, and it's not special anymore for me.
Yeah.
I hate that there's so many fans that are like, bring back King Ghidorah. Like, we haven't seen him already every single time. It's like, can we get some new monsters? Can we bring back someone that maybe only got one interpretation? I think that this is one of my favorite Mothra designs. Mm-hmm. I like the way that she looks a lot.
It looks like an actual bug now. It doesn't look like a giant fuzzy thing, you know? Like,
it's not cute anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of horrific. Like, if you saw that, it's like, oh, that is kind of freaky.
Yeah.
I like the idea of King Ghidorah being a good guy, because King Ghidorah, there's good kings and there's bad kings throughout history.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, it's a different interpretation of the character. You know, like, it's a different interpretation. You're allowed to do whatever you want with it, because it's not like this is canon to anything. Like, that's kind of why I like Godzilla so much, is that there's no canon. You know, like, it's literally just. I mean, yeah, you could argue that, like, the Heisei stuff, it's all canon to each other. But what I'm getting at is, like, they could make, like, a trilogy of movies that are completely their own thing, and it wouldn't have anything to do with any of the previous movies. They could go as balls to the walls they want, and it wouldn't have any effect. Like, you could just ignore those if you don't like them. You could love them if that's, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's why I like Godzilla so much. It isn't like Star Wars, where every little spin-off movie has to be canon. They need to follow the exact same continuity. Like, we can't have an evil Luke Skywalker. You know what I mean? Like, we can't, because that's not. Whereas if it was like the Godzilla thing, we could do one-off things like that, you know?
I think that's why it's appealing to hear so many different opinions about Godzilla movies as well. You do have the people that are pretty much beat for beat, they say the exact same thing as the other person. But I think that's why it's appealing to me, at least, to listen to a lot of people. It's appealing to listen to you talk about Godzilla, is because we're all so different with our tastes for the movies. You said Godzilla vs. Hedorah is your favorite Godzilla movie.
Yep.
That is in my top 5, but for me, it's Biollante.
Yeah.
Biolante's my favorite. So I think that's why Godzilla is really cool, too. Like, there's just so many different things that have to do with Godzilla.
Yeah. I think about this a lot, too, because it's one of the longest-running franchises. Another franchise that's equally as long-running, I think, maybe it's a little bit younger, but James Bond. You know, like, you don't really get the same kind of, like, fan response as Godzilla with James Bond. You know, it's kind of like, I don't see, like, these massive tier lists for James Bond. You know what I mean? Like, because there's so many movies, but they're all virtually, I wouldn't say the same, but, you know, like, I don't know. I think it's interesting because Godzilla is so different from every other franchise that's out there right now. You know, like, all the long-running ones. Wow. I can't talk today. But it's just fascinating, I think, with just how varied the franchise is. And this is one of those key examples where we can have a character like King Ghidorah that's good. You know, like, imagine a Batman story where Joker's just a good guy. And it's just like, the movie just goes, this is how it is. I mean, like, yes, there's comic storylines where he's a good guy, but, like, still, like, if a movie did that, it would be insane. But for Godzilla, it's kind of like, yeah, it's just how it is. You know, just accept it. That's how this movie is.
I love GMK. I just want to reiterate that, even though it's not in my top 5. But I'm in agreement. This is probably, if I want to be honest, maybe my 3rd favorite Godzilla design. I love the white eyeballs. I thought it was weird at first when I was a kid because it's like, oh, are they trying to make it where it looks like the original 54 Godzilla? Yeah. But then you get older and, you know, I was probably like 5 or 4 when I first saw this movie. But, you know, you get older and it's like, oh, Godzilla is the representation of dead soldiers, you know, getting revenge on Japan. It's like, this is interesting.
Yeah. It's one of those where you almost think, God, imagine if Toho let him make more Godzilla movies, you know, instead of, I mean, I love the Kiryu movies, but it's also just like, I wish that they would have just given Shusuke Kaneko, right? Yeah, the director.
He directed Gamera.
Yeah.
He directed Gamera.
I just wish that they would have given it to him and just been like, go crazy for the rest of the Millennium Era. We're giving you the keys to the kingdom, man. Because, like, just...
Why didn't they? Because I know this is kind of when... Because Godzilla movies always have, like, they start off great at the box office, and then each one has a less return. But this one was, like, included with some Hamtaro movie, I think, in Japanese theaters. But, like, why didn't they? It did decent, I thought.
I don't know. I wonder if it was just creative differences because he wanted Varan and Anguirus so bad, and they wouldn't let him. And I think, I'm just, like, spitballing here, but I think that, like, if that was me as a creative and, like, the company that I've always wanted to do a movie for is like, actually, you can't do that specific idea, I'd be kind of miffed. I don't know. I think that might be it. Because with Gamera, they just gave him the keys to the kingdom and said, go nuts. And he did, you know, and I think that, I don't know. It'd be cool, though, to see another movie from him in the Godzilla franchise, for sure. But
is he still doing movies?
I heard yes. I think, because there were a lot of people wishing that he would work on Godzilla -1. Like, he was talking with Yamazaki about it, and he was like, yeah, this is something that I've always wanted to do. Let me just look this up really quick. I want to make sure I got everything right here.
Yeah, I kind of want to know if he's, like, been doing anything or if this was, like, kind of one of his last ones.
Oh, yeah, he's directed tons of movies after this. He did the live-action Death Note movies. Not the Netflix one, obviously, but the Japanese ones from, like, 2006, and then he did the Death Note 2, The Last Name. He did those two, and then he kind of... It looks like he's just kind of doing, like, dramas and whatnot, so...
That's funny that 2 Godzilla directors both did the Death Note movies.
Yeah. So other than that, yeah, he's still directing stuff. He just had a movie come out last year called Gold Boy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's GMK. What hasn't been said by any Godzilla fan? It's good.
Right. Yeah. I love how Godzilla's demise in this is his own doing. I think that's clever, how it's literally through his own rage that he takes himself out. I think that's so good, thematically. It works so well with what the movie's doing.
Yeah, I forgot that the one captain takes a ship and pilots it through Godzilla's body.
Yeah.
That one, yeah. This one's a bit weird when I think about when I actually sit down and think about it. It's like, all right, he's the souls of 1,000 dead Japanese soldiers. There's monsters that are guardians. And then, yeah, okay. All right.
It's out there, but I love it for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when Godzilla first shows up in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's the water rises, and then you see the ship come down, and then it's a lot of great scaling, like you were saying in the movie. But I think one of my favorite ones is the guy at the red light, and he's like shaking. He's like, Godzilla! And then all of a sudden, Godzilla comes in the frame, and every single step that he does, the
Yeah.
camera's shaking, and you see like the lights shaking too. Like I love that little layers of detail that
Yeah.
you never really saw before.
Speaking of, I love the little vignettes throughout this where, like I mentioned, the girl in the hospital, but the other one is like, remember the teenagers where they take like the dog and they're gonna like, I don't know if they're gonna like drown it or what, but remember that where they go out there on the boat and then Mothra like wipes them out and then like the dog is fine at the end, and then
Yeah.
there's all these like little vignettes. The guy that was about to like take his own life, and then he like falls into where Ghidorah is, and it's like there's all these like little like vignettes of like all these little characters where it's like, yeah, they never show back up again. I think that guy did actually sure like ask him all these questions, but
地面の下に怪獣が眠ってるんですよ。今にも来そうな怖い顔して。
I like that storytelling technique because it doesn't hold the film down to, okay, we're gonna have Mothra show up, but we have to have our protagonist be there for some inexplicable reason. Like, it just says, here's Mothra showing up, we're gonna just give you almost like this like short film for like a good like 5 minutes with these random characters that don't really matter, and that's it. And I like how the movie does things like that. It's clever, I think.
This is another one of those Godzilla movies that scared me when I was a kid. While Megaguirus had the one moment that scared me, I was never really scared of Godzilla, but this is the one that actually like kind of freaked me out, because when you think about when Ghidorah first gets revealed and it's all in the ice and stuff like that, that's kind of a scary moment when you're younger. I think too about when Baragon first comes in and he's like hidden in the dirt, like that's kind of freaky for a younger viewer. What else was the moment that really got me when I was a kid? Oh, the old man always scared me.
Oh,
I don't know why. The guy was a creepy old man, and then like when remember they're shooting in like the woods. I never can remember or understand what the scene was saying, but they have the camera and they're like whipping around, and all of a sudden they're like, it's not there anymore, and then like the music gets really freaky.
Yeah.
That scene really scared me too when I was a
Was
kid.
that when they're like doing a documentary about some like and then like someone like throws a rock in the water and then like
Oh no.
No, is it later?
Yeah,
Is it later?
it's
okay.
It's the one when they're in like the misty woods, and it's just
Okay.
the three main characters, not the TV crew,
Oh,
and it's just
okay,
the one
okay.
guy with the handheld camera, and then he's like, "Oh, see, it was just right there," and then like the music gets kind of
Yeah.
freaky.
あれ消えてる。これが消えてるんです。
I love that scene though where they throw the rock in the water and then the guys are like, "You said you would do a real documentary. Like, what is this?" And they're just like,
What's
"No,
that?
it is
The
it is a
monster?"
real." It's so good.
何かいるようです。
Again, that's that maintaining a serious tone while having the humor come from the characters. You know, like I love that in general. Like beyond Godzilla movies, that's just one of my favorite things where the humor just comes from conversational. Like that's just how it is. Like I love that. I love that so much.
I think one thing too that doesn't get really talked about in this movie is that I love the music in this movie. This is one of the first Godzilla movies that I can really think of that didn't really use the main themes in any way.
Yeah.
Instead, it's that dun 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 dun. Like
Yeah.
I really love that theme for Godzilla. It's horrific.
Yeah, in general, I like when they don't spam the Ifukube theme. Like, there are a lot of movies in the franchise where it's just like, oh, he's showing up, quick, play it. You know, like that's just how it feels sometimes. So I like when they try something new and they come up with an original theme for the character. I don't know. By default, it's like, great, you did something new. I love the Ifukube theme, but it's like, just save it for a cool moment, like in Godzilla -1, you know, where they play it right as the battleships start to move. Like, that's cool. But don't spam it every time he shows up.
Yeah, like I think about this one, like some of my favorite Godzilla scores, besides the Ifukube ones, for me at least, are I like Shin Godzilla's, the Persecution of the Masses, and the Who Will Know, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
But this is another one where it's like, okay, they're not main Godzilla themes, but these are some of the best soundtracks in a Godzilla movie, the GMK ones.
My favorite, you might disagree, I don't know, is Godzilla Final Wars when it comes to soundtracks. I adore the sound. Okay,
yes.
Thank God. I'm like, dude, the Keith Emerson soundtrack is like, oh my word.
When it comes to Final Wars, you will have no issue with me.
Okay,
I will
well, because you
promise
said
right there.
You said that it was like I was worried that you don't like Final Wars, and I was gonna say
Final Wars is my second favorite Godzilla movie
thank
of all
God.
time.
Okay, we're cool.
It's my second favorite.
When
No,
you said
actually,
Mega Gears was like your second least favorite. I'm thinking like, please don't say Final Wars, or we're gonna have a bad time.
no, my least favorite is actually the next one, the Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, or Godzilla X Mechagodzilla.
Fair. It's one of those where I like it, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think I just like the premise of Kiryu, and I like Tokyo SOS more. Like, I feel like that's kind of where my brain is. Like, it feels like, I don't know how big of a Harry Potter fan you are, but like Deathly Hallows Part 1 versus Part 2, it's like Part 2 is like, I love that movie, but Part 1, you just feel like you're just like waiting for stuff to happen, because you kind of are. Like, it's just like, just get to the point already. And I feel like that's kind of Godzilla X Mechagodzilla, or against Mechagodzilla, where it's like, okay, these are really cool concepts, but it doesn't really come to full fruition until Tokyo SOS. That movie really feels like what Godzilla X Mechagodzilla should have been. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, this is a movie that feels very cheap, and I don't know why. For me, the lighting is so bad.
A lot of the comp shots are bad too. Like, of Godzilla in the distance, it looks borderline like something from the 70s.
Like, whenever Kiryu is... I don't know what it is, because Tokyo SOS does not have this problem. But every single Godzilla scene looks like it was shot on the soundstage. Like, I have never had an issue where it's like Godzilla's, doing his thing with a monster. I've never actually thought oh, that looks like it's on a stage, or it looks cheap. Everything about this movie, in my opinion, looks cheap. And I don't know what it is for me. Like, the lighting is off. I think when Kiryu goes rogue the first time, cool, but it looks cheap.
Yeah.
Like, it looks cheap. Same thing for the ending. I think that a lot of it's a little too goofy because it's serious for the most part, but then all of a sudden the girl's like, I'm gonna kick your butt, Godzilla, and then Kiryu does somersaults, and it's really bad CGI, and then there's a moment where the music's victorious and Kiryu's punching Godzilla really fast. I don't know.
Okay, I can't remember. Is it this movie or Tokyo SOS where it says sayonara on the screen on the inside? It's it's Kiryu talking.
That is Tokyo SOS.
It's Tokyo SOS. Okay, I always hated that. We'll get to that when we get to it. Or unless you just want to talk about both these at the same time.
I guess we can. They're both you both need them. This is the only movie in the Millennium Era where it's you watch one, then you have to watch the next to understand kind of what's going on.
Like a two-parter kind of thing. But I love Kiryu as a monster. I think that it's so wild to take the bones of the original Godzilla, build Mechagodzilla around it. That's genius. It also justifies the name, I think, Mechagodzilla. Before it was it's a robot version of Godzilla that kind of looks like him, but now it's no, this is literally a cyborg version of the character, which I love. I love that. I will say, though, in Tokyo SOS, I think that version is much better. I love, it gets the shoulder cannons, right? Is that in
because they have purple shoulder cannons at first, then they lose them. I forget how exactly, but they lose them near the end of the battle. And then in the Tokyo SOS one, they have more of these silver cannons that kind of match his color scheme.
Yeah. Kind of funny. One thing I want to bring up, Godzilla against Mechagodzilla has a cameo from Hideki Matsui, who is a baseball player for the Yankees. And as a kid, I was a Brewers fan and a Yankees fan, and today's opening day they're playing each other, so I'm kind of happy. But Hideki Matsui I always loved as a kid because his nickname was Godzilla. So
oh yes, I remember hearing about this.
So they brought him on to do, to have a cameo in the movie, and so that's right when he's like, I can't remember if he like hits because like a kid like throws a ball when he's not supposed to, so he hits it, and then Mechagodzilla kind of flies over in the distance, and so that's like his little cameo in the movie. I always loved that as a kid because he was one of my favorite players, so I got to mention that. But
was that in Against or Tokyo?
Against Mechagodzilla, yeah.
Okay, I might have to watch that again.
Pretty sure. But it's, again, one of those little vignettes where it just kind of shows up for a few seconds and then you never really see them ever again. But
yeah, this one is weird too when you think about it, because this was the first time too when I was a kid where I found out about War of the Gargantuas, because this has got a very weird timeline where Against Mechagodzilla takes the timeline from War of the Gargantuas, the original 54 movie, and then one more weird out
Space
there.
Amoeba.
Space Amoeba.
Because, is it Komodo? Whatever, the giant turtle one washes up on shore and Godzilla's Tokyo SOS.
So it's so odd that they took from those two movies in particular.
And Mothra.
Oh yes, because they show B footage of that one too.
Yeah. And the grandpa in that is the same character from the first
original
Mothra movie.
It's the same actor too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Because he kind of shows up in the first half and then he's like gone after that. Like he's just sort of like watching in like a military base.
Oh yeah, because he's all bandaged up and stuff with his uncle kid.
Grandpa! And that's all that character ever says.
Yeah, don't call me Uncle Kid.
No, that character is great. I love that character so much. Where he's like fascinated by like military planes and everything, and you really get the sense that he's like a dork, but he's kind of like cool in a way where you're like, you know what? Yeah, like I'd have a beer with this dude. Like he seems cool. Like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, like even the girls like him in the G-Force and stuff like that. I think the problem that I have with Against Mechagodzilla is I watched it after Tokyo SOS, and Tokyo SOS is such a improvement on everything that Against Mechagodzilla did, as far as like CGI, the monster battles, the actual storyline, and Tokyo SOS has the exact same story as Against Mechagodzilla, sadly. It's very much the Kiryu goes rogue, someone has to jump in and repair him or pilot him himself, and then at the end, they get shoved into the sea. So I think that's why Against Mechagodzilla is not one of my favorites. It's just very much like it's, I already know what comes after this. It's a better version of this exact movie almost.
I don't know if you've ever seen the meme where it's like, guy who's only seen the movie Boss Baby, and then it's like, oh, this movie gives me like Boss Baby vibes, but it reminds me of Neon Genesis Evangelion with like how it goes rogue, like how like it goes berserk in that show, and then like this. I wonder if there was any point of inspiration there or if it's pure coincidence, but like part of me, like when I see some of this stuff, it's kind of like I wonder if that's a nod or whatever. I mean, not that that's a totally original concept, of a giant robot going rogue and destroying stuff, but still, like whenever I watch, I'm kind of like, I wonder if that was part of the intention here. I don't know, but
yeah, I think that the Mothra song is one of the best Mothra songs. I still love the Battle for Earth one the most. Like that is the best Mothra theme, but this one is a good solid like 3 or 2.
Yeah, I like Mothra in this movie. Generally, I'm not the biggest fan of Mothra. I think that like she's okay at best, but like I don't know. I think though here, pretty cool. I don't really have any big issues with Mothra.
Well, because it's just the Mothra does come into the Tokyo SOS. Because I always remember just the twins, because those are such a prolific thing in the movie.
Yeah. No, I love though how Mothra's like, we gotta get that Godzilla skeleton back into the ocean like now, and then the humans are like, but I don't wanna. Like that's kind of like the whole movie, and I love it for that. Like it's great.
Yeah. No, I mean, Against Mechagodzilla for me is just okay. It's not one that I point to as being a good. I mean, it's a solid movie, I would say. Nothing really horrible. It's just, when you're talking about 32 movies here, and the franchise, it's hard to, especially coming after GMK. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I not my favorite in the Millennium. My least favorite.
It's one of those where I think when it comes time to cover these with my retrospective, I'm just gonna do like a combo where I just talk about both, because they really do go hand in hand, like to the point where I almost feel like someone could make a re-edit, you know, where like the movie is like this like giant like 3-hour long like magnum opus, you know, and like you kind of cut out some of the filler, do like a fun fan edit, and it'd be arguably one of the best in the franchise then. You know, like you really cut down on the against Mechagodzilla stuff. I feel like, because it just
that would actually be really good.
Yeah, I feel like that would be the best way to go about it. Yeah. I'm
I
saving
agree.
that. I'm gonna do a video. I'm gonna make a re-edit. I'm gonna do a video talking about all the changes I made. I'm gonna do that.
All right, I would watch that in a heartbeat, because it feels like you would need to for these two movies. You know.
Yeah, I remember when I got really into video editing as a like middle schooler and high schooler. I did so many fan edits of like movies. Like I love
doing trailer edits.
Yeah, I did one where I did Kill Bill. I did both. I just combined them both, and I made it into like one whole movie. And I did it where it was like non-linear, so that like it ends still like where Kill Bill 1 ends, but like it's all kind of like out of order, and it's. I wonder where that file is. I want to watch that. But the problem is that none of it had subtitles. So like the part where she's like talking to like the Japanese, like the master guy, you don't know what they're saying because there's no subtitles. But I was like, I've seen the movie. I know what happens in this scene.
One of my favorite things I wish I would have kept or put it somewhere, but you know how in high school they give you assignments and stuff like that. Well, for us, I was one of like the only kids that would actually do stuff in the video class.
Mm-hmm,
so the teacher was like basically like, all right, you can have whoever you want in your group. Just go do one project a month. You can do whatever you want since you actually do stuff. So we recut and used ourselves as a trailer for Central Intelligence. And we had like a really skinny friend play The Rock and a really short friend play Kevin Hart. And we recut that trailer, so that was awesome. I wonder where that is.
I was in high school. I was the only kid that did an independent study class for mass media, and so the teacher was like, do whatever you want. And so I made a short film and then a feature film, and it was just like, yeah, this is this is my thing now. It was amazing. But one more re-edit that I love. I didn't make it myself. It's The Hobbit. I think it's called like the Tolkien cut.
I need to watch it.
It's so good. It's obvious in some parts where it's like, yeah, this is like it's a re-edit. You know, it's a fan edit, because they can only do so much with what they have, obviously. But for a fan edit, one of the best. Like it's the definitive version of those movies, because it cuts out all the dumb stuff that wasn't in the books. You know, it keeps it very faithful. I love it for that reason.
I'm wanting to watch that, and then like there's like a Spider-Man 3 edit that like trims out all the junk too that I want to see.
Have you ever seen the editor's cut to that movie? It's an official version. It's the editor's cut.
No.
It's so good. One thing I'm going to say is it does all the right changes that you would ever want. It has my favorite change in any movie. So you remember the Peter Parker dance scene, right? Yeah, everyone makes fun of it. You know, he's like dancing and stuff. That's
like
still
the best
in there.
scene in the movie.
Yes, it's still in there. But the scene before it, I can't remember what it is in the theatrical version, right? But it just kind of like happens. In the editor's cut, where it's cool, is it's literally the scene before that is when Harry throws the bomb. He whips it back at his face. It blows up. The very next scene is him dancing. It's like he's literally so evil now. He's celebrating his friends, like what he thinks is.
Or like
his
when
death.
they should have like had that when like he slaps Mary Jane instead of like that being the moment. Like him doing some horrific stuff and then just not caring.
Yeah, the editor's cut. He literally just in his mind he killed his best friend and now he's dancing in the streets of New York. And it's like, yes, this is.
I gotta
perfect.
watch this
it's
version.
So good. Watch the editor's cut. It's incredible.
Oh,
so
man,
good.
I will.
Godzilla Final Wars time.
Oh yes.
Godzilla Final Wars. My experience with this movie is that I had only seen the Showa movies at this point because I was real young, and one of my dad's friends, his kid and I, we'd always, because we were about the same age, you know, and so we would always play Godzilla Unleashed on the Wii, and he had Godzilla Final Wars. And I remember as a kid, my favorite thing was getting the DVD copy, flipping it around and seeing all the little, like,
The
badges.
trademarks.
Yeah, the trademark stamps. And so I remember with Godzilla's Revenge, I was hyped to see that because it was all those monsters, and that was a letdown for me because they showed up for 4 seconds. But I remember when I got the DVD to Final Wars, he was showing it to me, and I see all the monsters on it, like Anguirus, King Caesar. I'm like, I gotta watch this. And it was I've said this before, I'll say it again, it was a religious experience. Like, literally, I felt God with me in that living room that day when I watched Godzilla Final Wars. Even today, it's one of those movies where if I put on the English dub, like, I'm reciting every line beat for beat for beat. It is so fun. It is, in my opinion, like, if we don't count, like, 54, Shin, -1, because those are all, like, the ones that are legitimately fantastic movies that are, like, Oscar, like, they should have won, whatever. But, like, my top 3, it's Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, Final Wars, and, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Those are my top 2. So anyways, but, like, with Final Wars, it's, like, I love that movie. It is so fun with all, like, the mutants are so great. Don Frye is incredible. The music is amazing. That was my introduction to Sum 41. I love their usage of We Are All to Blame. But the music especially, everyone kind of rips on, like, the bum bum ba-dum ba-dum ba-dum.
That's, like, the best part.
I love that. People say it sounds like an old documentary theme, but I adore it.
I love it.
I love the my favorite musical piece though from this entire movie. It's called Motorcycle Battle. It's by Keith Emerson, and it's during that scene. And it sounds like something from, like, an old, like, snowboarding game. And, like, that, like, those, like, break beats are just like, oh my word, it's so good. It's just, I mean, I could fanboy over Keith Emerson all day. I mean, like, I adore his music with Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but I just, like, I love this movie. I love everything that it is. It is, in my opinion, the greatest Godzilla fan film ever made, because of the fact that it literally feels like every era of Godzilla, except for Heisei for some reason. They kind of ignore that, but everything kind of just slammed in, and it's what Destroy All Monsters should have been. Like, in my retrospective, I talked about how I wish it had a retro-futuristic kind of...
Destroy All Monsters.
It's overrated as hell. And I talked about in my retrospective, like, I wish that they really just embraced the retro-futurism. And in this, they do. Like, it's totally like that, like 2000s Matrix, now it's retro-futurist, as bizarre as that sounds.
It's anime as all get up.
Yeah. I want to show it to, like, people who love anime and be like, yeah, this is what a great live-action anime could be. Like, this is... I mean, like, the shot of the training scene where it's... I can't think of the characters' names, but... and they like run along the walls, and they're doing, like, and then they, like, meet in the middle, and they, like, kick, and they, like, both, like, and the camera, like, spins around them. It's like, people say it's a rip-off of the Matrix. It's better than the Matrix. It's better than the Matrix in every way in terms of that fight choreography. It's so fun because it embraces the silliness, whereas it doesn't try to be cool. Like, there's so many scenes that I just love. Like the scene with Don Frye. Every scene with Don Frye is incredible. Like, the part where he takes the sword, he sticks it in, and he, like, puts his fist up, and then he's like about to punch a woman, and then he's like, he, like, looks at it and goes, and then he, like, slaps her. It's like, this is insane.
Or, like, the part when even it's not even him in the scene, but it's, what did Captain Gordon get in trouble for? Oh, for slapping a senior officer, and it ends up being he slapped that one woman.
Captain Gordon is presently in a cell for striking a superior officer.
I love where he's like, there's 2 things you don't know about Earth, kid. Me and
One
Godzilla.
Is me, and the other is Godzilla. I'm going to have to show you a picture. I'll throw it up on screen, but I took a photo of a random guy out in public that looked exactly like Don Frye.
Did I tell you my Don Frye story or not? I can't remember.
Yes, about how your friend was, I don't want to disappoint him.
And he's like, oh.
Yes.
It was so funny.
So, for me... This is a big toss-up between my favorite Godzilla movie and my second favorite Godzilla movie, because Biollante, to me, is the best Godzilla movie of all time for me. Obviously, that you can make the argument -1 is the best made Godzilla movie and, like, the best in years, yes. But for me personally, Biollante is the one that's, like, it's a serious story. If you interchange Godzilla with a different kaiju, it would still be a really good movie at the end of the day. The characters are fantastic. But for me, this was the most hyped movie, and I remember everything surrounding it when I was younger. Mm-hmm. Because I had been a Godzilla fan all my life. This is the first thing I can remember as far as my life goes. Like, I know that's maybe weird to say, but like I remember being in the car seat and my dad asking me on the way home from work, because my mom and dad worked separate jobs, and so my mom would drop me off at my dad's work. He would take me home. Mom would go to work at night. And so my dad was in the car. I was in my car seat at like 3 years old, and my dad's like, all right, you've been pretty good for a while. You want to go pick up Godzilla Final Wars or a new toy? And I'd be like, well, Godzilla Final Wars, it's coming. And I remember like one of my dad's friends, because we didn't have internet growing up until about like 2013 or something like that crazy. But he sat me on his lap one time and was like, oh yeah, here is the Japanese website for Godzilla Final Wars. And I remember that's when we discovered like every single Godzilla monster is going to be in it. And there'd be like little scenes of like the destruction. Like they showed like the 2-second scene of like Rodan's feet stomping on the building and him like croning out. And that was it. But for me, this was a movie that I remember very specifically because it was a big deal. 50th anniversary of Godzilla. If you bought any Godzilla DVD during this time, right there, smack on the front, 50th anniversary release. Doesn't matter if it was Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, Godzilla versus Hedorah, one of the Millennium Era. You bought a brand new Godzilla DVD, 50th anniversary. It was a big, momentous, special occasion.
Yeah.
And I remember it all. We had an FYE in my mall, and that's where we would go to get Godzilla movies. This is where we got Final Wars. Final Wars was quite literally... It was a movie I loved when I was a kid, and then I started to kind of hear what other people were thinking of, and my opinion changed on it, just because you're a kid, and you're like, oh, this is the greatest movie of all time. Yeah. And then you hear some others where it's like, oh, I didn't like it because the monsters didn't show up that long. Then you get older and you're like, okay, this is the best that the Godzilla humans have ever been, because they are so entertaining and the dialogue is so like hilarious at times. You were talking about Don Frye. You were talking about the main character. I love when he's getting introduced, like, oh, you have to be a bodyguard for this one scientist. And he's like, honestly, I couldn't be babysitting for some of these old farts. And then, like, in comes this gorgeous model of a scientist woman. And he's like, oh. And she's like, I'm not old,
Yeah, I'm not a dinosaur or whatever.
Honestly, sir, you know how cranky these old farts can be sometimes.
I think you'll find I'm not cranky at all.
Yeah, or like when he's introduced to Gigan, she's like, oh yeah, you guys are like brothers or cousins or whatever.
Yeah,
you
so
have
that's your
DNA.
great-grandpa up there, It's so good.
I had watched every single Godzilla movie up to this point now. So for me, Final Wars was incredible when I was a kid, because they were showing off Space Amoeba, Varan, Destroy All Monsters footage, like in the beginning, War of the Gargantuan, and then I loved, too, how they made this a big deal. I think that was something that was severely missing from the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, where it just kind of came and went. They didn't make it a big deal. Yeah. The only thing that I can really say is that they had some releases on their website, and before -1, it said Godzilla's 70th anniversary production. Yeah. I wish they would have done what Final Wars did, where it's like, they're going to take through all the Godzilla movies in the era in the credits. I love that to death. Same thing with the end. They kind of do this big moment where it's like, here's every monster that's ever been in a Godzilla movie in the credits.
I love, by the way, those end credits, how it feels like an old sitcom opening. Like they show like Hedorah, and then it's like, then they cut to like a different monster. It's so funny.
It's like, where was that footage?
Yeah, no, that's actually a big piece of lost media. Like, everyone is still, like, looking for those, like, the Hedorah deleted scene. Like, it's still, like, that's one thing where, I think I mentioned it in one of my videos, too, where I'm like, yeah, this is, like, it's probably never going to be found, because, like, that's just Toho. Like, they will likely never release it.
You give it a 4K release, I guarantee you they'll
I hope so.
have something.
If they did a 4K release of this movie and they're like, yeah, we're going to charge $150 for it, I'd be like, all right, let's do this. I want it so bad, too. But also part of it is like that charm is that DVD quality. You know what I mean? Like how like it just screams 2000s, and I love it for that reason.
This was the movie that introduced Steam Boy for me because the trailer played beforehand, and Final Fantasy Advent Children. I had watched, because of Godzilla Final Wars, I became a Steam Boy fan, and I became a Final Fantasy fan for that reason.
That Steam Boy ad always scared the out of me as a kid. Same with the one where it was like I don't remember if it's the same one, but it's like the lady in like the water at the start.
That's Final Fantasy Advent Children.
That scared me so much. I don't know why. I don't. It just was like off. There was something off about it.
I just was like, whoa, what's this cartoon?
Yeah.
I was like, I want to watch this.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, Godzilla Final Wars has some of my favorite moments with all the monsters, with all the humans. It has the best designs of every single kaiju that is in this movie, in my opinion. King Caesar is the best that he's ever looked in this movie. I think he looks infinitely better than Mechagodzilla.
I don't disagree with Hedorah being the only exception. I do like Showa Hedorah more.
I like how Hedorah looks sludgy more in this one.
Fair. I'm a fanboy with Godzilla versus Hedorah, so like that movie could do no wrong in my eyes. But I'm just saying,
it's in my top 5. I will tell you that.
Fair enough.
Hedorah is in my top 5.
I do have. Oh, I do. Hold on. I do love this though. This 2004 Zilla, when he shows up, it's like, yep, this is peak cinema.
I love that jab so much in the movie. It is not even funny.
They scanned a toy. That's literally like, that's the meme. They scanned a toy and then we're like, okay, this is a 3D model. We're not going to touch it up anymore. Like, it's literally a scan of a toy.
Yeah, I love that moment so much when you're like, oh man, like Godzilla versus Godzilla. This is going to be interesting. And then
it's
like,
over.
2 seconds. I knew that tuna head wasn't up to much.
One thing I want to say, though, about the human subplot, because I just adore the human subplot, is I don't know if you've ever seen the memes where it's like, the mom's like, oh, he's just playing with his, like, Legos, you know, and then it's, like, the lore, and it's like the lore of, like, you playing with your Legos. It's basically Godzilla Final Wars. Like, when I watched that movie, it was like, no, this is just like me when I play with my toys. Like, that's how it felt. And in the best way possible. Like, it's so balls to the wall, anything can happen. And it's great. Like, there's not a boring moment in this entire movie, genuinely.
No, I think that just it's the most entertaining Godzilla movie, if you want my honest opinion.
Yep, I agree.
Even though like I'm gonna tug a pull with Biollante and Final Wars in my top favorite movie of Godzilla, Biollante does have slow moments. It's not a movie that I'm like I want to turn on every day, you know, or every month. Final Wars, it's like I could put that on any day of the week, and if there's something new, I'll notice.
Yeah, Godzilla versus Hedorah, I'm the same way, because there are moments where it's like you can't show this to someone who's like a first-time viewer. They're gonna be like, "What is going on?" But Final Wars, I feel like if you want to just show someone that movie, they'll be like, either I'm on board with this insanity, or I'm a boring person. You know, like it's almost like a litmus test. You know what I mean? Like, because it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
I did that for my friend because he watched -1 with me and he's like, all right, I'm kind of into this. So I'm like, all right, let me show you Godzilla 2000 since that's kind of a little bit more like it. And he was like, yeah, it was kind of slow if I'm being honest, you know, and just me growing up with it. That's why it's one of my favorites, but I can understand that. Then I showed him Final Wars. He's like, all right, what else you got for me, buddy? This is awesome.
I always recommend it to people. I'm going over to my buddy's place. He's the drummer in my band. I'm going to give him the Final Wars DVD, and I'll be like, look, I know you like, because he loves all these different types of anime, you know, and all this type of stuff, and I'm like, just watch this. Just trust me. Like, it's going to be so good, because it's totally like, I think if you love anime, this is like one of the definitive movies that you should watch, in my opinion, because the influences are just so strong. I mean, it's crazy. The Gotengo, by the way, I love they included it. Oh, the Gotengo.
I loved that there was Atragon, and I'm a little bit upset that it's like Manda was the one that got killed, but it makes sense because of Atragon and stuff like that.
Yeah,
makes sense. It's just one of those things where it's like I wish we got that one fight with Godzilla or something like that.
I love the shot where it's like Manda's like going like this, you know, and it's like moving really
Yes.
fast, and then it goes into like his eye. It's just right away great visual storytelling because you understand what mutants can do versus humans. You know, like that like these mutants, they can like perceive time differently than like we can, and like their reflexes are higher. You know,
I love the part when they prove what mutants can do when they make him take on Ebra, because Ebra's, you know, more of a lower tier monster. I just love that moment because, you know, we're talking about the soundtrack and all of a sudden these guys have guns that are the size of something in, you know, a Final Fantasy game where it's absurd and it's awesome, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right guys, we're gonna fry that lobster.
Like that score is just like it just rips. I believe that was also Keith Emerson, if I'm not mistaken, because I know that they split up the soundtrack duties. It was like a Japanese composer who did like a fair chunk of it, and then it was Keith Emerson that did a lot of other parts. I can't really remember, and then I think there's like a third person as well, because the soundtrack I believe isn't really on streaming. I know that the Keith Emerson songs are, because he has an album called Keith Emerson at the Movies, and those are all his like soundtrack songs. But yeah, because I really wanted to hear certain tracks and they just weren't on there. But Motorcycle Battle, like if I'm on the road and that starts playing, I'm getting a speeding ticket. Like there's no way around it, man. I love that song so much.
That's your Motley Crue song?
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
Oh yeah, I think I've used it in like videos in the past where I did like a fight scene for like a school project, and I used that specific song because I just loved it so much.
You know, a lot of people didn't like this movie because of the fights. The fights are very much like boom, 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 boom. However, I love it now.
Yeah.
Like this is some of my favorite Godzilla fights and moments because, first of all, the Final War suit is my favorite Godzilla suit. His ears, his eyes, his mouth, it incorporated so
fangs,
much.
like the cat-like fangs, you know?
Yes. His hands, like the claws that he has on it where they're super gigantic.
Yep.
I love that it incorporated every single suit design since the Showa era. You really feel that in Final Wars more than any other movie.
Have you seen the concept art for the original design that they were going to do?
Yeah, it was so weird.
It looks like a demon. Like it's crazy. As much as I would have loved to have seen that, I just love the Final Wars design. It's so sleek. It's so like, you get the vibe that he could genuinely fight this entire roster of monsters and win, because he doesn't come off as like slow. You know, like it's perfect.
Yeah, I just love that. You know, there was every single fight in a Godzilla movie you can think of. So they did the one-on-ones. They did the 3v1. Yeah. They did the 2v2s. Every single thing that like Godzilla has been setting up since, you know, his first movie was in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I love everything about it. I love the alien subplot, that it gets goofy. Yeah. It horrific too. Like when the you know, when I was younger, I mean, I wasn't really allowed to watch like PG-13 movies all that time. I mean, you got to remember, I was like 3 years old. I was 3 years old and I saw this movie. I was like, okay, like, you know.
That always scared my little brother whenever we'd watch this. He'd see that. He'd like have to like leave the room. He'd get so scared.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those moments where it's like, it's not gory because it's just like a skin face mask, but then it's like, it does look pretty gory. It's like,
well, the part that messes me up is where he's like going like this, and it's like from the side, and you see his forehead like rippling, like that part's nuts. And then immediately Don Frye walks in, and he throws like the dead body on the ground, and it looks like
we know what you are. Why don't you show us your real face?
Why don't you show us your real face?
Would you say this is the highest death count in any Godzilla movie in terms of like people? Because I feel like 90% of the planet is completely like just dead. Like, I don't think there's a single, like, you know what I mean? Like, because when it ends, it's like, yeah, the city's like just ashes.
It's
like,
Final Wars.
Yeah.
It was meant to be the final Godzilla movie.
I think this has to be the highest because, I mean, like, this borders on being apocalyptic. I genuinely, I think it kind of is actually. Like, it's supposed to be kind of like, yeah, there goes Godzilla and his son, but it's like, there's like 7 people left on Earth. Like, it's wild. It's wild. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to go watch. I'm saying this to the person watching this. Like, genuinely, this is, I think, a must-watch for any. Not even if you're a Godzilla, if you're not a Godzilla fan, it's a must-watch.
I think the effects still hold up to this day. Like, there's some shoddy computer graphics, I would think, like when the guy kamikazes into the alien dome.
Yeah.
That's like the only part, though. Every other effect holds up stupendously.
Yeah.
I think
agree.
this has my favorite human moments in any Godzilla movie. Like, genuine laugh out loud moments of
The fact
this is
that
hilarious.
We've been quoting them this whole time, as opposed to all the other Godzilla movies that we've talked about. Like, I don't think we've quoted a single one, and here we are going like, oh, remember this part?
Hey, yo, man, woo! No, not my car!
Hey, man, yo, don't be touching my car!
And then, like, the cop...
5 minutes, 5 seconds, doesn't freaking matter, because I'm gonna bust you up.
Wasn't there like F-bombs like nonstop? And it's like, yeah, this is
They
New York
dubbed
for you.
over it. They
Yeah.
dubbed over it. Yeah, because you can see that the guy clearly says, like, the F word a bunch of times, and then they just dub over it.
I love it.
And then the hat part when it's...
You know, like, oh my god.
Or the part when the Katango call the two guys in Antarctica that are kind of watching over Godzilla's domain gate.
They're listening to the Godzilla vs. Godzilla soundtrack.
Bum, 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 bum.
As a kid, I always thought that was Dwayne Johnson. Like, one of the guys looks just like him. It's borderline uncanny.
I can just quote Clint. The Katango are calling.
Gotengo survived!
Oh, we're the only ones left in the world, you know, because they think like they're the only ones
Yeah.
left. What do they want? They
What?
said they're coming to us.
Here?
They're here?
What are they coming
Why are
here
they
for?
coming here? And they said they're
Come
going to go wake up Godzilla.
Just spits
He
out the
spits out
water.
his tea.
Oh man, I love that movie. I love some of the deleted scenes that are on the DVD. Like, have you seen the one where the main character goes to rescue Don Frye from like the jail at the beginning of the movie? Because remember, he's like being court-martialed. It's like so goofy. He just like sneaks in there. He like hits a switch and then he like runs past like all these guards and then he like goes in there and that's it. It's the most like pointless deleted scene, but it's so goofy at the same time. Like, it's like something from like '66 Batman. Like, I love it.
I love the part when he brings in the two girls, the main character. I wish I remembered his name. Miyazaki or Miyazaki, right? Miyazaki.
I think so.
It's Miyazaki or Miyazaki, but when he brings in the girls, when he frees Cap.
Oh, and he's like, "Nice work." It's so good. But like everything about it, like the pacing is so fast. Like when they're talking with Akira Takarada, and the guy like pulls the knife on him and he like cuts him, and you're just like, "What is it? Like what?" Like you don't know what's happening. Like because all of a sudden, like it's just this nice conversation about his dog, and then all of a sudden he's getting stabbed by some crazy guy.
You know what I didn't notice is that guy was in Godzilla 2000 as Katagiri's little friend. Remember how Katagiri, the guy that's like the shady guy that used to be in the Godzilla Prediction Network, has like a little sidekick with him that's like...
I'll have to rewatch that because I completely missed that because you see him so quickly in Final Wars and then he's gone.
Yeah,
you know?
it's him when he's a bit older, but on my most recent rewatch, I noticed that was the same actor.
I'll have to check that out again. One thing I do love is how this movie gives reverence to some of its like veteran actors. You know, obviously Akira Takarada has a huge role, but also like the woman who's like, you know, Captain Gordon, you'll be court-martialed for this. Like that whole like her character is fantastic.
This time you won't be able to escape court-martial.
You know what we just went through?
And she gets moments where she gets to like really like take out some of the aliens, you know, like when all the old timers get like the alien blasters and they're like shooting at them in the hallway. It's like this is
I thought I told you to get back to the ship.
They're like
so
dying.
good. It's so good. I love it.
I think too that this has one of the like this truly was Final Wars because the ending for this movie, I think everyone when this movie was being like critiqued really harshly, and I think now we're kind of in this resurgence of Final Wars being loved. But everyone kept mentioning how the fights were boom, 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 boom. that's not the case for the last fight. They have a big fight at the end.
Yeah, especially where it's Mothra and Gigan fighting while Monster X and Godzilla fight, and then that dynamic shifts because Gigan and Mothra both die. I mean, Mothra doesn't really die, but, and then it's Monster X and Godzilla, and then the dynamic changes because then it's X and then the other guy fighting, and then it's Godzilla against Kaiser. The dynamics constantly change, which keeps it interesting.
I think the build-up for Monster X is so incredible because, first of all, you don't know what's coming the first time you watch it. You just think that the meteor is the ending of the movie, the climax, because Godzilla literally plants himself into the ground. I love that he plants himself into the ground with his feet, and then he charges up his beam in a way that he's never done before, and then spews it at the meteor. And then you see this giant cataclysmic hole that Godzilla's just in the middle of. And then all of a sudden the music...
It's like something out of Dragon Ball Z. It's crazy. It's insane. I love, too, the design of Monster X. I know it's so alien. It really feels alien. It feels like some out of Power Rangers almost. Another character that I adore is X. One of the best human villains in any Godzilla movie because he's so, juvenile. Which, by the way, we talked about Kill Bill. He's in Kill Bill.
Is he?
He's one of the, the backup kind of, entourage guys for Lucy Liu's character. And so you see him for just a couple seconds, but he's got, the same hair. It's when you're watching it, you just see him. He's, on, the left side of the frame walking with her, and you're like, that's X. And it's oh, cool. But... he's great. I can't watch the Japanese version because I'm just so accustomed to the dub because his voice in the dub is so good because it's so you hate him so much. It's so
I think the Japanese version is so funny though because if you watch it, it's just Captain Gordon speaking English and the Japanese people being like, "Okay, I understand you."
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like R2-D2 logic. It's just beep, 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 beep. Okay, cool, thanks.
I think X is such a great villain, and my favorite shot in the whole movie, besides Captain Gordon's listen kid, there's two things, is when X is getting beat up by the one guy, and then on the background of the TV it's Godzilla beating up Monster X, and it zooms forward. I'm like, this is the Final Wars is peak human fiction. Nothing on Earth will ever touch this movie.
I wish that more Godzilla movies like the MonsterVerse would just go in this direction, where it's right now the MonsterVerse is kind of we'll just put minimal focus on them, and just keep it focused on the monsters. But it's make it goofy. Give us these mutants that are ninjas, and I want to see insanity. I want to see that type of stuff.
I'm hoping that's the way they go with the new one. X-Kong is a good starting point of okay, you got a little goofy on this one. Let's go even goofier now.
Either embrace it or don't. Those are that. I want them to embrace it so badly. That's just, I want it to go nuts. I want it to be insane. But yeah.
This has my favorite end shot of a Godzilla movie. I think of we discussed Shin Godzilla, how that's the most memorable end shot to a Godzilla movie. But I think this is my favorite where Minya. Oh, I forgot Minya was in this movie.
Yep. Yeah, because he's with the kid. And then they're going around, and that's a whole subplot where it's just...
That's peak too.
Yep. Everything about this I love. I wish Minya talked in this. That'd be I think that would push it to the edge of we shouldn't make any more movies anymore. No, it would have been amazing. Because then it would be we've hit peak cinema. There's no more reason to make any more movies.
And then if they had Godzilla flying as well, if they had Hedorah flying away, and then Godzilla has that would...
amazing.
Peak.
Yeah, truly one of the best.
Yeah, I got no complaints about Final Wars. It's a tug and pull between my favorite.
If I have to come up with one complaint, I'm not a big fan of Rodan with how it looks too much like a man in a suit. That's my only gripe. The shot of him on the building and he goes brah, to me that just comes off as it's just some guy in a suit. It just
really
he looks good when he's flying. I like that, but a lot of the shots it's just kind of I don't know, but. I like the design, but yeah.
One quick thing.
Yeah.
I love Anguirus in this. I think this is his best design.
Yep.
I love that he turns into a roly-poly.
Because that was in the games.
Scenes.
That was in Save the Earth. That was in Unleashed. And I remember when I saw that in the movie, I'm like, oh, that's where they got it from. I think I did a whole video on this, and now I'm like blanking. But I remember they got, like, someone from the video games came up with that first. Because it wasn't in any of the movies before Final Wars.
No. And it makes sense. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
That's something he would do.
Hey, he's an armadillo.
An armadillo.